The next one we can talk about our Vols. Uncle Bob going down to NC State to play. They're going to be playing in Charlotte. This will be a neutral site game, but it will be played in Charlotte, North Carolina. Only couple hours away from NC State's campus, but Tennessee will also travel well. You can make it there from Knoxville in about 5 hours. So it'll probably be 50-50 split as far as fans go. And the Vols are used to playing down in this stadium, played a few bowl games down there and all that. So it's not like it's uncommon territory. Nico Iamaleava, our highly touted freshman quarterback there that we have been all really excited about for a couple of years now, comes out, throws for 318 yards last week. Granted, it was against the hometown UTC Mocs, but he threw for 318 yards in the first half. Did not even play the second half. You had a lot of, spreading the ball around, looking good. James Pierce Jr. is an absolute monster on the defensive line for Tennessee. And NC State on the other side, ranked in the top 25, but come out last week against Western Carolina, started a little slow. Looked like they were in trouble there early on, but wound up winning that thing 38-21 and stretching it out at the back half. I think this line might be a little too high, too. I think the books are begging you to take NC State right here. You look at them only having the short travel, and I think a lot of people are going to view this as more like a home game. It's not going to be that way. If anything, it'd probably be 60-40 Tennessee fans in the stadium right here. So I think that line right there, the books are begging you to take NC State getting over a touchdown, and what a lot of people are going to view as more of a home game. What do you think here, Bob? Tennessee looked good last week.
Yeah, it seemed like a scary trap game earlier in the year, or before last week. Because NC State's a tough team, steps up against big competition. Dave Doran's always comes up with some creative defensive game plans. Tennessee can trip up. The defense is well schemed, but not super loaded with talent. You got is he redshirt freshman or true freshman?
Whichever it is. They're considering him a true freshman. I mean, he was there last year, played the bowl game and all that, but as far as the amount of time he actually got on the field, they're still considering him. They're calling him a true freshman anyway.
Yep. So, and he's a true freshman against Dave Doran's defense away from Knoxville. So, on those bases, you could see it being a trap game. But I was not sold. I was a big fan of the Coastal Carolina quarterback when he was at Coastal. But they run a certain scheme there, and they play a certain competition there where he excelled. There's a reason why bigger programs didn't come offering him in the transfer portal. There's doubts about how well he steps up to a different scheme and to a different level of competition. And you saw it. I mean, last week at times he's playing against a very low level of competition. And it wasn't until the fourth quarter really got clicking. Concepcion is a great wide receiver. He's a guy who's probably going to make the league. But, when NC State's really good, they have a suffocating defense and a dominating run game. Under Dave Doran, you don't want to bank on their QB. The QB tends to underachieve because of his style of offense. So I think you look at that. It smells like a Tennessee blowout. Is what it really feels like at this point. NC State's defense taking, for example, what does Western Carolina like to do? They like to spread them out wide to the all the way to the sidelines, and guess what they did? They torched NC State for three quarters. That's what Tennessee does, but with a lot better players. Right. So schematically, they look like a disaster. Now I'm sure Dave Doran didn't want to show anything, so maybe he'll come up with a really creative defensive scheme that might surprise and throw Nico off. Nico's the real deal. I don't believe in betting on the Heistman because of how they've stolen it from quality players in the past. Give it that joke of a Heisman to Charles Woodson, complete crock, total embarrassment. But there's just a bunch of New York media types that know nothing about college football. But but Nico, if we had an honest Heisman, Nico would be my favorite. This kid is legit. You're talking about big, physical, fast, runs, throws. Not only does all those things, he's smart. He has an above-average football IQ, and he's in an offense designed for his skill set. And so I think, go back and look at what numbers Hendon Hooker put up and jack them up 10, 15%. You're going to have a top 5 offense in Tennessee this year. So NC State's going to have to come up with one of the best game plans ever to even hang in there. Now, Tennessee's defense, very schematically driven. We're not stacked with talent. A lot of questions at secondary. But we got some really elite talent along that defensive line, which is where he's been smart. His recruitment strategy has been on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to go out and focus on defensive linemen and then hope we can coach up and scheme for our linebackers and defensive backs. And it's mostly worked. They've had an above-average defense despite not having above-average personnel for every year Heupel's been there. And I think his defensive coordinator is one of the most underrated coordinators in all college football. And you look at the history of what does the Coastal Carolina quarterback struggle now at NC State struggle against? Struggles against pressure. You
Yeah.
get pressure, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the country.
Mm-hmm.
What does Tennessee excel at? Creating pressure, schematically and personnel-wise. So
Right.
I think it's going to be a Tennessee blowout. Just a little worried about the Dave Doran pulling some magic out of the hat.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I feel like that line is too high, and I feel like the books are begging you to take NC State getting the 8 right there. It's actually gone up a half point. It was at 7.5 just the other day, and it's gone up there and it's sitting pretty solid right there now. But I'm with you. It feels like a Tennessee blowout for me. It would not surprise me. You can take an alt lineup on this, man. I might take it all the way up to Tennessee minus 13.5, and maybe a half unit sprinkle. You might can run it all the way out as high as it will go because it would not blow my mind to see Tennessee win this game by 4 touchdowns. It really would not.